Hey, it's Dustin from the Main Street Studio. Let's talk about belt etiquette. Every style is going to have their own rules and protocols based off their traditions and history, so I'm going to tell you about some of ours. So remember, any of the rules I tell you are going to apply in a Monk Silam Thai Chinese Karate studio, not necessarily anywhere else. So first I'm going to give you a few guidelines, and then I'm going to give you some examples of things I've seen that you shouldn't do with your belt and things that are okay, and I'll give you some ways of other ways of being able to do things. First of all, your belt should never touch the ground. Definitely don't lay it on the ground, and you don't want to be dragging it on the ground. Like I said, I'll show you some examples of that here in just a minute. Now, where that does not apply is if you're wearing your belt and you're doing a ground defense or a takedown, and you're wearing it and it touches the ground, that's not the same thing. Also, you should never touch the belt of someone who outranks you. When you're higher ranked than someone, you do technically have the right to touch their belt, but you generally shouldn't. There's really no reason to unless they're asking you to help tie their belt or if you're teaching them how to tie their belt. All right, I'm going to give you some examples of things that I've seen done with belts that we don't want to have happen. Now, this is a belt that I pulled right out of the cabinet. It doesn't actually belong to anybody, and that's the reason I'm using it. It is not just because it's a white belt. The reason we treat our belts respectfully is because they all represent time and commitment that you put into earning where you are and why you got that belt. A white belt, even if it's brand new, right out of the package and you've just put it on, it represents the fact that you walked in and asked to be taught, and that deserves respect just like anything else. The most common, I see this with kids a lot, is the floor drag, where they take their belt and they either drag it around the floor like this, or they throw it over their shoulders and let it drag the floor like that while they run around. We don't want that to happen. We want our belt to stay neatly folded. Oops. And when we're neatly folding it, we also want the ends to match. There we go. So we want our belt to be nicely folded. And then you can keep it in your bag. You can set it on the bench, which I'll show you in just a minute. You don't really need to run around with it. Just put it somewhere safe. Now, believe it or not, I have seen this as well. I've never seen an adult do this, but I have actually seen kids do this, which is using their belt as a jump rope, like that. I'm not a very good jump roper, am I? Like here. There's absolutely no reason for that to be happening. They actually, I'll show you in just a second. They actually make, let me grab it right quick. This right here is something they make for that. It's called a jump rope. They sell this in any store that's got an athletic department. You can just walk in and buy it. You don't have to earn it. They're not even going to give you any grief about it. They'll just sell it right to you. Pick up one of those if that's something you want to do. Something else that'll happen is this right here. So someone will take their belt off and throw it on the ground and let it hang on the floor. We don't want that to happen either. Let's keep it folded up nicely. If you need to set it down, you can set it on the bench just like that. If you've got a bag sitting there, put it there. Okay? The last part of belt etiquette is making sure that you're tying your belt correctly. Take the time to learn it and practice it. Make it look nice. Think about that, guys.